Let's get straight to it. We're talking about a tectonic shift that isn't some far-off prediction. It's what's defining 2026. We're way past the initial AI hype. This is a new reality where the very act of finding information online is being rewritten from the ground up. Think about it. For more than 2 decades, that one little box has been the undisputed front door to the entire internet. But what if I told you that door isn't just closing? What if it's already been torn down and replaced? Well, in this new era, that's exactly the case. It's no longer about you actively searching for information. Instead, it's about autonomous AI agents finding it, synthesizing it, and even acting on it for you. This is what we call agentic browsing, and trust me, it changes everything. So here's our game plan. We'll start with something called the Great Decoupling. Then we'll look at the moment Google's defenses were breached. We'll meet the new AI agents on the scene, understand the new rules of what's called agentic optimization, and then wrap up with a brand new playbook for the zero-click world. Okay, first, let's look at the big picture. We're seeing what experts are calling the Great Decoupling. And what that really means is the direct link between a user's question and a search bar click is being completely severed. That straight line we've relied on for years, it's broken. This really sums it up perfectly. We went from one single front door to 1,000 different entry points. You got chatbots, AI glasses, proactive assistants, you name it. And the result is that a user's journey to your brand is suddenly unpredictable. And frankly, a lot of the time, it's completely invisible. And listen, this is not some fringe idea. A recent survey from Responsive found that a whopping 80% of B2B tech buyers now see generative AI as being just as trustworthy as a traditional search engine. The trust has already shifted. That's a huge deal. So you might be wondering, what was the catalyst? What lit the fuse on this whole thing? Well, it wasn't just a gradual evolution of technology. It was a very specific, almost seismic legal event that completely tore down the walls protecting the old guard. This timeline shows you the exact chain reaction. For years, Google's dominance was locked in by these exclusive default search contracts. But then in 2025, a massive court ruling came down and just stripped that advantage away. Suddenly, Google can't block its rivals anymore, which kicks off an annual open bidding war for that coveted default spot. The entire market was just thrown wide open. So with that giant moat breached, a whole new class of navigators came flooding into the space. And these aren't search engines in the way we think of them. They're autonomous agents built to act on a user's behalf. Yeah, we're talking about totally new players. These agentic browsers like OpenAI's Atlas, a super powerful research tool, and Perplexity's conversational engine, Comet. But it's also AI wearables, things like glasses and pins that grab your intent before you even open a browser. And then you have these specialized transactional LLMs that can handle an entire shopping trip from discovery to checkout, completely bypassing search as we know it. So here's the absolute key takeaway. The user isn't the one doing the browsing anymore. They just state a goal, like find me the best noise-canceling headphones under $300, and the AI agent does all the heavy lifting. The research, the comparisons, the navigation. The AI itself is the new interface to the internet. You can see where this is going, right? This new reality demands a totally new strategy. If the search bar is effectively gone, and these AI agents are now in control, then optimizing for search engines is like preparing for a battle that ended yesterday. Just look at the difference here. Traditional SEO was a ranking game, right? It was all about keywords and clicks and optimizing for human eyeballs. Agentic optimization, or AO, is a completely different beast. It's not about playing a ranking game. It's about fundamentally shaping your information environment so that machines, not just people, can understand you perfectly. It's all about being legible and trustworthy to an AI. So let's put a pin in that definition. Agentic optimization is the practice of making sure that when an AI agent goes looking for an answer, your brand is the answer, that your information is accurate, it's verifiable, and it's complete. We're talking about direct-to-machine communication. Now, the key piece of tech that makes this all work is called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. And instead of an AI just using its old, stale training data, a RAG-enabled agent actively goes out and retrieves real-time information from a trusted source, like your website's API, to ground its answer in cold, hard facts. Your job is to become that trusted, structured source. Okay, so that's the theory. How do you actually do this? To survive, you need a new and, yeah, a highly technical playbook. It's time to stop thinking human-readable and start thinking machine-readable. First up, the technical mandate. your website has to have endpoints that AI assistants can just plug right into. We're talking about APIs for your product listings, so agents can understand the tech specs. APIs for real-time pricing and inventory, because accuracy is how you build trust with a machine. And even APIs for shipping and returns, because you have to remove every bit of friction from the agent's decision-making process. And your content strategy has to change too. Seriously, start thinking about creating content for an AI. You need to be directly answering the kinds of comparative questions they'll be asking. You need to provide clear, structured data about your location to build what they call familiarity. You have to be totally transparent with your policies on things like free trials to build trust. And your technical docs, they're not just for your engineers anymore. They have to be structured for AI consumption. But here's the reality check. Look at this survey data. Over 60% of marketers are already creating AI-optimized content. Great. But less than 14% are exposing the deep, foundational APIs that these agents actually need to do their jobs. This gap right here is the single biggest risk and, honestly, the biggest opportunity in the entire market today. So when you boil it all down, the strategic shift is this. You are no longer bidding on a keyword. You're competing to become the one, definitive, trusted answer for an entire moment of need, delivered frictionlessly by a user's personal AI agent. And that brings us to the final and most critical question you need to be asking yourself right now. You've spent 2 decades getting really good at optimizing for Google, but are you truly prepared for a world where Google is just one choice among many, and where the real gatekeepers are the autonomous agents that have already arrived?